Hey everybody, welcome back to Challenge the Call of Max and Avery. I'm your host Max.
And I'm Avery. How are you guys?
So I'm actually in Omaha doing some recruiting right now, so Avery and I decided we would do an episode together in person.
Very first one ever. So we're really excited to bring this to you guys. I'm pretty pumped. Let's do this thing.
Alright, getting straight into it today. As we know, the FIFA World Cup is going on. To start, U.S. played England. They tied 0-0. Avery, did you watch that game?
I did. U.S. and England, that was a great matchup. We were not projected to win. We were not projected to tie. And guess what? We came out and we looked sharp. We're a very underdog team.
I definitely thought we were going to lose. I know no one projected us winning against England. We didn't win against England, but tying them 0-0, I think that's pretty successful. I can count that as an American win, especially as we'll get into a little bit later, but we moved on in the World Cup. So
correct.
I'll take a tie against England.
Yeah, we moved on to the World Cup, and then Wales versus England, our second game. How do you feel about that? That's your team.
My team against England, my second team going against England, didn't turn out quite as well as the first. Wales did lose that game 3-0, so didn't have much luck with it, but yeah, they are officially out.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Wales, they had a good run. They really did. Tied the U.S., right? They tied the U.S. They had a really solid run. They fought for everything they had, so a lot of appreciation for Wales out there. And then U.S., we had to beat Iran.
That was the one thing we had to do. We had to beat Iran if we wanted to stay in it, and luckily we did it. We pulled out a victory 1-0 against Iran. We moved on in the World Cup. Sadly, Wales did not, but hey, keep your head high. All my Welsh pals out there, keep going.
Yeah, man. World Cup is really exciting, and I had a second team in this, and this was Mexico. And Mexico has been a consistent contender in the World Cup for a lot of years. And them coming out and losing to Argentina and Lionel Messi, it was brutal. And then they come out and they beat Saudi Arabia today, but there's a stipulation. They don't move on because they let Saudi score one goal and they won 2-1.
So sadly, even with a win, Mexico doesn't move on. They did win Saudi Arabia 2-1, but just the way the overall points were stacked, they lost their first couple matches, right?
They did.
So lost the first couple, didn't have a big enough point differential. They actually did have a big enough point differential until the very last goal by the Saudis at the end of the game, which ultimately took them out. So
it's got to be a heartbreaking, 87 minutes into the match, and you let up a goal that ends your season.
Yeah.
And doesn't just end a season, because end of the season means next year, ends your next 4 years.
Yeah.
Because the World Cup's not until 2026.
So it's a crazy deal. It's crazy that, sorry to say Mexico, but better luck next, what do you call a 4-year period? I don't know.
Next World Cup.
Yeah, better luck next World Cup. There you go. But anyway, speaking of the games coming up, as the U.S. is the only team moving on that we follow, they will be playing the Netherlands Saturday at 9 in the morning.
Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a game. And I'm really nervous because I don't think we get out of the group of 16.
I'm very, very nervous. This questionably will be our first actual loss of the Cup. Because when you think about it, we haven't lost yet.
Right.
We have 2 ties, but no losses. And so this round will really be a kind of test to see, hey, how good is the U.S.? Are they going to keep up with a high-caliber team, or are they going to sink off and give this one up?
And I want to mention, like you just said, a high-caliber team. The Netherlands are a high-caliber team, and this is what makes me nervous. I think we made it to the dance, but I don't think we're going to be dancing that long.
Hey, I'm just glad to move on. I'm glad we got into the actual World Cup bracket, not just past the seeding stage, so I'll count it as a win in my book.
Yeah, man. But yeah, that's all I really got on the World Cup right now.
Moving on, we'll get into some notable games that happened in the NFL. We got a pretty big slate for you guys here. Going to get started with, obviously, we are a week past Thanksgiving, so we had all of our Thanksgiving games. First things first, the Lions and the Bills. Bills won 28-25, which is pretty expected, but the Lions kept it close.
Yeah, Lions took the lead 25-22 at the end of the game, and Josh Allen. They gave him too much time.
Josh Allen.
They gave him too much time, and Tyler Bass hit the game-winning field goal for the Buffalo Bills. But I want to say one positive. The Lions are not the same old Lions. They are a frisky team.
The Lions are a much, much better team this year. Obviously, the Bears already lost to them. Granted, you could call it our fault a little bit for missing that extra point. But regardless, the Bears have already lost once to them. So Lions are not the same trash team they used to be. They are definitely on the up and up.
And, that goes out to Dan Campbell. Dan the man, he's got those boys playing for him. And I'm glad because they look really competitive and they're never out of a game.
No. They always staying in it, always trying. I like Dan Campbell as a coach. I think he's a good coach. I like the guy. Next game, Cowboys versus Giants. Cowboys pulled it out 28-20.
Yeah, this game wasn't as close as the box score shows. It was 28-13, and Daniel Jones led down about 70-yard drive at the end of the game with about 1:50 left. And so, but, the Cowboys, this is a game they should have won.
Yeah, definitely.
If they want to be a playoff team.
They managed to pull it out in the end, which is what they needed to do. And so it's one of those where, yeah, the Cowboys should have won it. Should they won it by a little more? Maybe. Do they look the best again in that game against the Giants? Maybe not, but...
Well, and you got to think, they're coming off a very emotionally, exciting win against Minnesota the previous week, 40-3. And so, they might have let off the foot a little bit in practice because of how much they demolished Minnesota. And that could play a factor into that. But at the same time, they still got the job done. They did what they needed to do. And
definitely.
That's all that really matters with that. Our third and final Minnesota Vikings on Thanksgiving night, they beat the New England Patriots 33-26. Max, thoughts on that game?
I mean, the Vikings are good. They've obviously already proved that. They only have 2 losses. They are one of the better teams in the NFC, and so I don't know. I expect them to beat the Patriots. The Patriots are not the same good Patriots. I feel like we still see them in that same kind of, it's Bill Belichick, it's the Patriots kind of light, but they're barely breaking 500 right now. They're not a great team.
No, I agree. I mean, they are 6-5 in a very competitive AFC East, but they aren't that competitive. I mean, they lost to Chicago and got demolished by Chicago. But a lot of credit to Minnesota. Just like we said with Dallas, coming off a emotionally, exciting win, they came off a emotionally devastating win. 40-3 when you're the second seed, if the season ended today in the playoffs, is very embarrassing. And so I'm really happy that O'Connell, their head coach, got them going. And I just want to mention one thing about this. Kirk Cousins in primetime football, everybody gives Kirk shit. And me included. Kirk Thuggin was dead, right? Well, I might have spoke a little too soon because Kirk went for 299 yards, 3 TDs, and 1 interception. And he looked pretty damn good on primetime football, so he made me eat a little
They definitely turned around. I'm glad they were able to take the demoralizing loss, be like, hey, can't let that happen again. We need to focus. We need to stay on track. We need to get it done. But crazy thing about all 3 of these Thanksgiving games, they were all good games. Like all the bad primetime matchups, especially the Thursday night games that we've been having lately, being just why are these teams playing? Mm-hmm. These were all 1-score games. These were all 1-possession games. Yeah. So all very interesting, fun to watch.
Yeah, and I'm pretty happy with that. Because especially on one of the biggest holidays of the year, and it's known for football, food, and family. And the 3 Fs, football, food, and family, and seeing good football instead of the Lions are going to lose by 40. oh, Dallas will choke out a close game. Like, we're actually seeing some exciting games this year.
That's one thing I am a little disappointed about, though. Normally it's the Bears-Lions matchup on Thanksgiving, and we didn't get to witness that showdown.
Yeah, and, to be honest, I might be okay with it this year because it would have been a demoralizing Thanksgiving because I guarantee the Lions would beat us again. Especially if Trevor Siemian would have been playing like he was right now. But we'll get into that a little bit later. I want to talk about a former Patriot, Tom Brady, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They lost to the Cleveland Browns 23-17 in overtime. That's not typical Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is not the same as the whole Patriots, Bill Belichick. Like, we see these guys in a certain light just through the entirety of their careers when they do so good for so long. But the fact of the matter is, Tom Brady these days is not the same Tom Brady. He's not as good as he was. He's not on as good a team as he's been in the past. It's Tom Brady, but also you got 45-year-old Tom Brady who can't do what he used to do when he was younger.
He's a shell of his old self. Like, I will admit, he's a very big shell. And this is the thing: the Buccaneers, they don't have that great of coaching staff. Like, Todd Bowles isn't really cutting it down in Tampa Bay. I mean, when he went to Tampa Bay, he had Bruce Arians. And Bruce Arians is a good coach, and that's why they won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. But you can see the drop-off from Bruce Arians to Todd Bowles. And unfortunately for Brady, he needs to hang it up at this point.
He should be done. Did you tell me about the rumor, or was somebody else? Someone said Brady might go back to New England, actually, for a year.
Yeah, and how crazy would that be if Tom just reunited with Bill, and they're like, oh, we needed each other all this time. And it's like, yeah, no shit.
I don't think they should do it.
I don't think they should.
I think Tom needs to be done. I think he should have been done last year or the previous year. Honestly, after that first Super Bowl win with Tampa Bay, I'd have been out. I'd have been done, my career satisfied, ending on a Super Bowl with a new team in the other conference. I'd be like, yes, I'm the greatest of all time. Peace.
Yep. So we've talked a lot about the Bucs, but I want to talk about the Browns, and I want to talk about a guy that doesn't get enough credit, and Jacoby Brissett. He's been around the league a lot, bounced team to team to team, bridge starter. He's your normal bridge starter. And this guy has a lot of grit.
It sucks that he's going to immediately lose his job to Deshaun. I don't know if Deshaun necessarily deserves it, because, I know he's very, very good and everything, but at the same time, it's like, did he earn that spot? Jacoby Brissett is balling out right now, but does Deshaun get to just automatically come take QB1 after not playing a single game this season?
Well, and it's not even this season. Deshaun Watson hasn't played a single game in a year and a half. That's a long time. He sat out last year, and he was hurt the second half of the year. So, I don't think, obviously they're going to bench Jacoby. That was the plan all along, week 12, okay, come back against Houston, believe it or not, their next game. But Jacoby doesn't deserve that. He deserves so much better.
I think it's a little too much of I'm going to hand it right back to the famous guy kind of mentality. I think Jacoby Brissett has earned it. He's earned that starting spot. I'm not saying Deshaun shouldn't play. I would just rather see them split reps. I'd rather see Deshaun, almost like we were talking about Justin Fields taking a quarter off or playing only half the game kind of thing. I want to see them kind of split reps and fight for the position. I just want to see a fight for the position. Yeah. Because right now there's no fight. It wasn't earned at all. It's just being gifted to Deshaun.
And that's the thing, right? Because, in preseason, you get that fight. You get those position battles in preseason football. Well, Deshaun, suspension. So, at the end of the day, I get where you're coming from. One thing is Kevin Stefanski, the Cleveland Browns coach, he said that they gave Jacoby the game ball, rightfully so.
As they should.
And he said you couldn't ask for a better leader and a better man in this locker room. And when you say those two things, why are you benching that man then?
Exactly.
Why are you benching him?
So you're going to say there couldn't be a better guy to be quarterback on this team. But the minute that guy's cleared, we're going to go ahead and let him start and play all 4 quarters and just ignore you on the sideline.
Like, you're done. You're last week's trash. But yeah, no, speaking of another game, similar situation.
We got Jags versus Ravens. The Jaguars won 28-27. So big upset there for the Jags and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah. So this is going to be me playing hypothetical. In 5 years, we're going to be talking about who's the better quarterback out of the 2021 draft class. Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields. Because right now, those are the only two. Mac Jones, average at best. Zach Wilson, bench, done. So, we're going to be talking about Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence. Your thoughts?
Justin Fields has already broken an NFL record. He had the most rushing yards by a quarterback in a single game, along with combined for most rushing yards with, 3 touchdown pass, something like that. So I think the way it stands right now, I might be a little biased, but my vote's right here. Justin Fields, come on. Trevor Lawrence, he's not doing bad or anything. I think he's a decent enough quarterback, but Justin Fields, the Bears aren't good. The Bears are not good. But Fields is getting it done. We've scored 30 points in a handful of games, and that is all accredited to him. I think he is going to come out on top.
See, and, I agree, but I also could see playing devil's advocate, because my vote is Justin Fields also. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here. The Jaguars, similar team as Chicago. Shitty team, shitty organization. Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence have both came into probably one of the worst situations in the league. And they're 2 completely different quarterbacks. They both have a cannon for an arm, but, Trevor, he's more of your prototypical, you're in the pocket, you're going to stay in the pocket until you deliver a strike. Justin's going to make some plays. He's going to throw cannons. He's going to make plays with his feet. And, and there's nothing wrong with either quarterback. I mean, even in modern day NFL, I think I'd rather take the Justin Fields prototype over the Trevor Lawrence. That's kind of where the league's going.
The modern day NFL is definitely moving toward a mobile quarterback. More and more quarterbacks are running the ball, not just scrambling, but having designed runs, designed draws. They're moving around in the pocket. The quarterback position isn't exactly what it used to be. It's not just standing, delivering a throw, handing off a ball. Quarterbacks are a piece of the run game now in the fact that they can run, they can RPO, the team that has a quarterback that can do the run pass option or the keep option, it changes things. You got to watch the quarterback, but you got to watch the running back you could be handing it to. But you still have to cover the receivers that could be going down for a deep ball. So that's the way everything is moving. You're seeing more and more quarterbacks be mobile running type guys. And I think that's a big reason Fields is going to win this battle. Is because Trevor Lawrence not being that huge in the run game in that sense, as the league transitions that way more and more, that's going to defeat him.
For sure, yeah, and we kind of went away from, what actually happened in the Ravens-Jaguars game. But, going back to that, I think the way I see it and the way, Trevor Lawrence led them down the field, that was like a big dick drive. It was a big dick drive. You kind of need that. You need that, oh, shit, he can do this for us. And every quarterback has that type of drive and that type of game. If you look back, Justin Fields had that type of game against New England. And then even Miami, if they would have called the PI on the Claypool, that was Justin Fields' big dick drive that got robbed to us. So, seeing Trevor finally having that, it's okay, he might have the it factor. But, yeah, 28-27. What do you think about the last play at the end of the game, going for 2?
I like the call. I think as the underdog team, you have a little bit more of that freedom of, hey, we were going to lose this game anyway, according to everybody. So if we lose it, well, everyone met their expectations. But if we win it, And especially when you're playing a dangerous quarterback like Lamar Jackson and a good offense like the Ravens, you don't want an overtime situation. There's two mentalities. There's, hey, let's win it now because we're good and we can. And there's, hey, let's win or lose right now because we hand them back the ball and we're not winning this game.
For sure. Yeah, I couldn't said it better myself. I really think, that's a ballsy call by Doug Peterson down in Jacksonville. And, it just goes to show you, that's why he won a Super Bowl with the Eagles.
Definitely.
A couple years back.
I am that same way. I love going forward on fourth down. I love going for the 2-point conversion. Teams that win are teams that take risks. Big risk, big rewards.
Yep. And I'm excited to see what Jacksonville does next week. They play Detroit. So it's kind of like who's friskier type game. It's the Frisky Bowl because they're not good yet, but they got potential to be good, and they play hard, both teams. And so I'm excited about that.
Moving into the last game that we have here to talk about, Eagles versus the Packers. The Eagles won 40-33. And the big thing we wanted to talk about with this game, as I'm sure all of you are aware, are we in the Jordan Love era?
I don't know. I hope we're in the Jordan Love era. Well, I don't know if I hope I'm in the Jordan Love era. But I think we are seeing the end of Aaron Rodgers. Or at least the end of Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. I think Rodgers and Green Bay, they've been talking about moving on from each other for multiple years now. It's kind of like a relationship, but you're like, okay, well, what if we go to therapy? And what if we, try to figure this out? And then you hold on a couple of years when you shouldn't have. So I kind of think, that is kind of what is going on in Green Bay. What are your thoughts?
I think Rodgers is having a Brady-esque movement where he's not just quite the same. He's starting to age out a little bit. He's starting to get a little older. It's getting a little hard on him. He's obviously had a lot of injuries over his career. He's been beaten up. And so I think his body is just taking a bit of a toll, and he's not being able to do some of the things he used to do, on top of being with a very young team and getting very frustrated with not having the same kind of Devontae Adams and high-caliber receivers that he used to. But he still has some guys.
Christian Watson's made a huge step this year. As a rookie wide receiver, he's doing okay. He's had 6 TDs in the last 3 games. That's great for a receiver. That's 2 per game. And so, I don't know why people are saying Rodgers doesn't have this. They don't have this. They have Aaron Jones, which is one of the best receiving backs in the league. A.J. Dillon that can pound the ball down the middle. Robert Tonyan is a great tight end. So, I don't get this slack that Rodgers, doesn't have weapons.
They have good pieces. They might not have the same exact, amazing pieces they used to, but they have good pieces. And sometimes that's a part of being one of the greatest of all time, like Tom Brady, is you use what you have. Tom Brady doesn't necessarily need a bunch of amazing pieces to go out and win a football game. So if that's Rodgers' big excuse, then I'm sorry to say it, but can you be compared to Tom Brady anymore?
And, Patrick Mahomes, same thing. They don't have big receivers. He lost Tyreek Hill, McCole Hardman, and Demarcus Robinson last year.
And Byron Pringle.
And guess what? He's doing it with Juju Smith. Come on, guys. Get this right. Aaron Rodgers, he's over the hill. He's done. And you know what the funny thing is with this is that this same situation and scenario happened against the Philadelphia Eagles with Brett Favre.
When Aaron Rodgers replaced Brett Favre, it was against the Eagles. Favre got hurt.
On Sunday Night Football.
On Sunday night, went out, Rodgers came in, and from that game on, it was Aaron Rodgers' era. So, hence the question, is it officially time for some love?
And what are your thoughts on Jordan Love? Because we've seen him good and we've seen him bad. And this game, we've seen him really, really damn good. And I don't like it.
I don't know how I feel about him overall. Obviously, when we saw him bad, it was pretty early on in his career. He just kind of got thrown in as a little temporary, shit, Rodgers is hurt, come here. But I think he's definitely improved. I think Green Bay is one of those teams, especially with their quarterbacks and Rodgers himself just training up his replacement. I think he's definitely much improved. I think he has potential to be a very, very solid quarterback. I think they are kind of in it to grow and develop their quarterbacks under the guy they currently have, which I like that system. I don't know if he will be their forever guy or super great guy, but I reasonably think next year, like, they take a shot with him. I think they ride with him most of the year next year.
Yeah.
If Rodgers is out.
Yep, and I agree. But one thing with this is I just don't want another Green Bay Packers quarterback to beat the Chicago Bears 15 years in a row. I can't stand it.
That won't happen because now it's going to be Justin Fields beating the Green Bay Packers on a 15-year stretch. Speaking of all this Packers talk and whatnot, let's get into our main segment with Bear Central. So to start things off, we will recap last week. We played the Jets. We lost to the Jets, 31-10. No, it was not Zach Wilson. It was Mike White. Thoughts?
Mike White. You know what's funny? The Jets have had 11 quarterbacks that throw over 300 yards and 3 TDs. And Mike White has 2 of them. 11 times the Jets
11 games.
11 games, and Mike White has 2 of those games. That is insane. I think Zach Wilson's done.
Zach Wilson has to be done. The minute you score 3 points and deflect any sort of responsibility toward your team or any sort of accountability of, hey, guys, I wasn't on my best game. The offense, didn't do their job today. I'm sorry. His comment at that press conference, I don't think he needs to play in the NFL. I'm not picking him up.
No, he's not mature enough either. Like, I don't think he's got the maturity level to be a leader in the NFL. No. You can get away with it in college because you got a lot more structure, but in the NFL, it's okay, there's a lot of big personalities out there, and you got to be, as a leader, you got to be able to control those personalities.
He definitely needs to get out of his little high school phase he's kind of in, sleeping with moms and not taking accountability, and just he even looks like a baby. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You look him in the face and it is like, this is a child.
You look him in the face and you're like, is he a quarterback on Disney Channel or what's going on? But no, let's get into the game talk though. Mike White, hell of a game. Defense, we lost Eddie Jackson.
We lost everybody. We lost Eddie Jackson. Fields was already out. We lost Darnell was already out, or we lost him. Who else? There was someone else. Oh, we were already missing Brisker
and Kyler
Gordon. Literally, the entire team was just banged up, out of the game. I wanted to call the game. I wanted to say, hey, all you're doing is hurting your fucking team right now. Just fucking stop.
Yeah, and then it's embarrassing when Trevor Siemian just you got a quarterback in Justin Fields when the offense looks capable, and then you come out and you score 10 points against. We got to get away from the stereotype of the Jets being just the Jets, right? Because they got a good defense, great defense, but 31-10. Are you kidding me?
They don't have that good a defense. We don't have. Our defense should have done a better job. I know they were super banged up. I know we were missing, 4 guys out of the defense. But still, to give up 30... I don't like giving up 30 to anybody.
No. And I want to shout out one guy because he never gets playing time, and he had a pretty decent game. And Evans, our third-string running back, he was pretty solid out there. So I was pretty proud of that.
He didn't do too bad of a job. Definitely didn't do too bad of a job.
But there's really no positives to talk about this game. This is one of those, take the film, let's bury it in 50 feet of dirt, and let's never watch it again. Because this was a throwaway game. Especially when, and that's when I'm upset with seeing the Bears lose. Because, we don't even see progression in the team. You know how I'd mentioned earlier in the year?
It's hard to see progression in the team when your team's not out there.
Right.
The Bears were not playing. The Bears' backup squad was playing.
It was a preseason game. Literally.
It goes both ways where it's this was a super defeating victory, but at the same time, I might be just making excuses, but I'm not overly upset or defeated by it, just for the pure standpoint of if we have our starters healthy and in that game, it's close. I don't know we win, but it's close.
31-27.
Not even. 4 good defensive guys were out. If we have Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, if we have our defensive guys in there, that game is easily 27-24.
Yeah, I agree. Going into next week, though, it's rivalry week.
Next week we have rivalry week. Once again, going against the Green Bay Packers. So this game is taking place at Green Bay. The Bears are underdogs by 4 points. Over-under is 43.5. I think the biggest thing with this game, Fields is supposed to be back.
We got the alert today. Fields is fully active for Sunday. Thank God. And I got the alert yesterday. Rodgers will be playing. And so
good. I like it that way. I want Fields, Rodgers. I want the Green Bay Packers, the ones that have been around, playing Justin Fields to see how it goes. Otherwise, they're just going to make the same excuses that we can with the Jets of everyone being out and hurt.
Yep, I agree. I think, and I know we talked about this earlier in the year when we played Green Bay the first time, but this was before our offense started going. This is before our offense started making strides and going. And so, I think we have a shot to beat Green Bay. I don't think we're going to win many games the rest of the year, but I think this is one of those games that we beat Green Bay.
If there's one more game we have to pick to win this year, it has to be this game. I want to end the damn streak Green Bay has against us.
I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing every Chicago Bears Green Bay game and Chicago losing. I'm done with it. And I think the Bears are done with it too. I know Fields is a big advocate. I know he's mentioned multiple times, I hate Green Bay and I just blah, blah, blah. I really like that Fields is really getting into this rivalry.
He has a true passion for it. He has a true passion for the team he is playing on. He cares about his team.
He's really in depth in himself with Chicago Bear history, and I really love that. And so I really hope Fields has one of the best games. He's going to be healthy, or at least healthier. He sat out a week. He's not been practicing. Now he's back. I'm hoping he doesn't regress backwards a little bit because he sat out. That's my biggest fear. But even if he does, I see him back to normal about second quarter.
I think he's okay. I think he's obviously missed games for concussions and other stuff with Ohio State. He's come back and he's been fine. He's sat out games. He's had breaks like this before in his career. I don't think he'll struggle too much coming back and getting back into the groove of things.
For sure. Yeah, and so I really think, who are you taking?
I take Bears to cover. We have 4 points. I think if we lose, we'll lose it close at least, maybe by 3. We've played a lot of close games as Fields has started to come out and, be the quarterback we wanted him to be. We've had a lot of close games, 3 of them losing by 3 points or less. So I think Bears cover. +4, I take it.
Yeah, no, also, this is breaking news. I just want to announce that Cade McNamara from Michigan that got benched by J.J. McCarthy is officially transferring to Iowa as a grad senior next year.
Really?
Yep. So we have a new quarterback in Iowa City.
Thank God.
And he was a great leader, and he was a great quarterback for Michigan.
We'll talk about this in the college segment, but I think the Bears cover by 4 points. What do you think?
I think Chicago covers by 4. I don't know if we win it, but I think it will be a 21-17 game. I think one game, one pick, one fumble, one break. We just need one break. I think Green Bay is still a better team, unfortunately. But I think we are more of a team that works together, and I think we have more potential.
I think with the pieces at hand, a big aspect is going to come down to the coaching and the game management. Because if we get into that same situation that a lot of teams get against with good quarterbacks, where it comes down to the wire. You give him a minute left. We can't give Aaron Rodgers a minute left with the ball in his hands. No. If he has a minute left with the ball in his hands,
we lost.
We probably lost. So I think it's going to come down huge to game management by the coaches, and in that regard, I think that's going to be the main difference maker in this matchup this week.
Wouldn't this be a great game if this was Justin Fields' coming out game? Like
he already had it.
Well, no, I'm talking about like his coming out, let's win this game. Like game-winning drive like Trevor Lawrence had last week. Like Rodgers goes down, scores with 3 minutes left. Chicago gets the ball, and he's got 2 minutes and 45 seconds to drive down the field. And Lambeau Field in Wisconsin beat Green Bay.
I would love to see it. I think he's capable of it. I think he's very, very capable of it. Justin Fields, he can get the job done. We've seen it before a few different times. He can easily get the job done.
100% agree. 100% agree. But yeah, 21-17, my call.
All right. Moving into our college segment, we'll talk about some notable games going on in the college world. First of all, number 2 Ohio State playing at number 3 Michigan. That was an upset. Michigan 41-24. Crazy. What do you think about that?
Michigan's a powerhouse. Jim Harbaugh's got them boys playing good, and I like seeing Michigan instead of Ohio State.
I like a little bit of a change up. And granted, last year we also saw Michigan win, but then we saw Ohio State win later in the playoffs. Yep. So I still think Michigan coming out on top is a little bit of a change up, just with how long Ohio State has been dominant to them, yep, as well as just in the playoffs. It's always Ohio State right around there hanging in. Let's get Michigan in. Let's see what Michigan can do.
And this year, I think they can do a lot because their offensive line is like, they bully people. They are bullies. And that's what you want from the offensive line. They know they're bigger, stronger, and faster than anybody out on the field that's anybody can put on the D-line.
And a lot of credit to their running back, Blake Corum, but I think the offensive line is arguably the bigger piece in that. Running backs can be as good as you want them to be, but if they don't have holes to go to, they're going to struggle to do much of anything in a game. So they just give him the slightest of a crease, and he can make some things happen. So I think that line with Corum is definitely just, they are a combination to be a playoff caliber team.
Oh, easy. And, J.J. McCarthy, he took over for Caden McNamara at the beginning of the year, and J.J. McCarthy has took the world by fire. And it just sucks when a senior quarterback like Cade loses his starting job. But this sophomore's got guts and he's got moxie. And that's what you need for Jim Harbaugh and Michigan. So, I am really excited for the upset. And Ohio State, who cares, man? Be out 1 year. Just be out 1 year. We don't want you in the playoffs. You're just like Bama. Just get out for 1 year.
Right. Just like we're always saying, I just want a little bit of a change-up. I just want some different things. I want some different teams in the playoffs going against each other. I don't want to see these same 3-4 teams every year in and out over and over.
Imagine a Michigan TCU national championship game. Oh, my God.
That would be wild.
That would be insane.
Speaking of which, our next game we have on... we have Clemson versus South Carolina, another big upset, which knocks Clemson down a little bit. Clemson was number 8, South Carolina was unranked, but South Carolina actually won 31-30.
That's 2 games in a row by the South Carolina Gamecocks. We got to give them a shout-out because last week they went into Tennessee and ended their playoff dreams.
Yeah.
And this week they went into Clemson and end their playoff dreams. And then you know what's funny about this? Everybody gave up on Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
Everybody gave up on Spencer Rattler. Yeah, OU, he's so bad, blah, blah, blah. Transfers, he starts off rocky with South Carolina. He's thrown 8 TDs in the last 2 games. Spencer Rattler is performing. And he's looking why he was a Heisman finalist 2 years ago at Oklahoma.
Definitely. He's a good quarterback. He's an awesome guy. They are super, super lucky to have him down there. I'm not a fan of South Carolina. Don't really like them, but you got to give credit where credit is due, and they are doing good right now. They've beat some really good teams. They're the Grim Reapers for teams' playoff chance.
You remember Purdue last year?
Yeah.
Purdue, that is South Carolina this year.
The spoiler makers?
The spoiler makers. Well, this is just South Carolina Gamecocks.
This is just South Carolina being the Grim Reaper.
The Grim Reaper. But yeah, no, so, but I would just huge shout out. Shane Beamer has them boys playing good. The third game that we wanted to talk about.
Third game is 21st Oregon State versus number 9 Oregon. Oregon State pulled it off 38-34. Best part is they were down.
Yes, they were down a lot. And so I want to shout out the Beavers, the Oregon State Beavers. I love that name. You don't see many schools with the nickname the Beavers. But that's an incredible story over there. They've always been a bottom dweller in the Pac-12, and this year they're 9-3. And they beat some really good teams. They beat Utah and Oregon and Washington. Like, those are three really power hitters of the Pac-12.
They definitely deserve to be a little bit more in the conversation right now. And even just the way they finished that game, they were down, 14, 17 points in the fourth quarter?
Yep.
Came all the way back to win it. That is crazy. That is more than just hey, we managed to pull that off. That is hey, we are the better team. We deserve to be here.
I agree. And so, like, that's the thing. And we talked about Oregon being dead last year. Well, now they're deader than a doorknob. They are done. Oregon will not be there. Any chance. They probably won't even get a New Year's Six Bowl. So, congrats, Beavers. I'm proud of you guys.
Yeah. Getting into our team here, we'll get rolling with Let's Talk Hawks. So, this week, Iowa played Nebraska. With a win, we would go to the Big Ten Championship, and that did not happen. Iowa actually lost 24-17. We were down 24-0 at one point. Avery?
So, yeah. It's really embarrassing when you beat a team 8 years in a row, and it's for all the marbles, and they're playing for nothing, and they come out and they beat you.
I mean, it's like we said last week. Eventually, the other shoe has to drop. You have an 8-year streak. It's going to end eventually. I'm always a big believer in a bad team's never going to be bad forever. So, the shoe dropped.
The shoe dropped. I don't have much to talk about this game. I'm kind of glad we started making a comeback towards the end.
It was nice to see, especially considering, honestly, it was the exact same situation as the Bears. Petrus went out. Laporta was out for the game. Cooper DeJean went out in the game. Who else were we missing?
Gavin
Williams. We were rattled with injuries, similar to the Bears, except this time I feel like they were mostly on the offensive side, and we couldn't hold on with all the backups in. Our offense already wasn't a powerful offense to begin with, and when you lose your leading receiver and your leading passer, technically with Petrus, it just doesn't work.
Yeah, and Padilla, he wasn't the answer, and he's actually just entered the transfer portal, so thank goodness.
But hey, not that it matters to us, because as your breaking news, we got a new quarterback coming in.
Michigan, thank you for your backup. Cade McNamara. He is a great quarterback. I've watched him play he killed us last year in the Big Ten Championship. And so, I'm just pretty happy that we do have Cade coming in. I will be pumped. We just need to get rid of Brian Ferentz. Yeah. I don't know how we even got a quarterback with Brian Ferentz as our OC.
I think I'm so happy about it. It's the Bears. It's the Bears. The Iowa and the Bears. They're always the fucking same team, and it's kind of crazy. But Bears just got Justin Fields. We just got Cade. We have a good quarterback now.
The only bad thing with this is Cade's a senior. He's a graduate senior. So we only get him for next year.
It does give us time to recruit a decent freshman, or I know we already have a redshirt sophomore or something on the team.
Why can't we just do this? Western Kentucky they've done this multiple years. I know they're non-Power 5, but I like what they do. So Mike White played at Western Kentucky, was successful. Then was Bailey Zappi. And so there's 2 quarterbacks, and they were all transfers. They transferred for their junior or senior year. They transferred in. They've been playing the transfer portal. Let's just do that for a little bit. Let's do it.
I mean,
we're a good school.
To some degree, we just did.
Yeah.
We got a transfer quarterback, and hopefully that works out great. It's like you said, though, he is a senior, so we only got him for a year. I would like to see us utilize the transfer portal a little bit more. I'd like to get some better players from some other schools coming in. Receivers, what we need. That's what we need to hit the portal for. We need receivers.
And I hate to say it, but Keegan Johnson, he's actually a native of Bellevue, Nebraska, which is a suburb of Omaha. He ended up entering the transfer portal, so he's gone now. We have lost a lot, and we will keep losing a lot because how many seniors do we have graduating?
I think defensively 8 of the 11.
It's gone. Nuts. We're not gonna be like. Hopefully, we got something going.
It's gonna be tough times for Iowa. Hopefully, with Cade coming in, having a solid senior quarterback will help us. I don't know who he's going to throw to, but he can throw.
Yeah, he can throw the ball. Luke Lachey.
Luke Lachey.
Luke Lachey. There we go. It'll be thrown to Luke Lachey. A lot of tight end rollouts. It'll be fine. Also, so going back to this game, Nebraska and Mickey Joseph, their interim head coach at the time, he won his final game as a Nebraska Cornhusker head coach, and it might be his final game ever as an NCAA head coach, as he has found...
Or a coach at any position.
Or a coach at any position, as he's been found... not guilty, but he's been charged with some criminal activity. I won't discuss of what, but big news hit the Omaha area yesterday. Mickey Joseph was arrested in Lincoln, Nebraska,
and he already didn't have the job, right? Like Nebraska was already hiring Matt Rule,
yes,
right? So
yeah, Nebraska was already hiring Matt Rule, and so you don't know what happened, but a guy could think and wonder. But I really hate to see. He did do a lot better than Scott Frost did.
Definitely.
With that Nebraska team.
He had Nebraska running a lot better. He had the team looking decent, which is hard to do with Nebraska. I feel bad for the guy in the sense of they hired Matt Rule before any of these charges or anything were brought about. I felt bad hiring Matt Rule. You don't want to give this guy a shot. He's won some games. He actually won some. He beat Iowa, your biggest rival.
Yeah.
Granted, they were riddled with injuries, but still, he did it. So.
And, but if what he did is, true and he is found guilty, he shouldn't coach young men.
No, definitely
he shouldn't
not.
coach young men again. And so, that's some breaking news with the Nebraska front. I don't want to really talk much more about this game. It really made me depressed.
Getting into the upcoming game, do we get a bowl game?
We'll get a bowl game. I've saw some predictions, and it looks like we might be going to a New York Pinstripe Bowl at Yankee Stadium. Don't know who. It's usually against the ACC team. So
Clemson?
No, they're too good still for us.
They just got knocked down, though.
They did. I could see a Boston College. I could see a Virginia Tech. A team like that I would face this year. We're not that great. And so, I wouldn't mind beating up on some middle-of-the-pack ACC team.
I wouldn't mind it. I know getting a bowl game is still an accomplishment and all that. Everybody loves it. I'm not a huge fan of bowl games. I think they're kind of just a money grab. I think they're a pointless waste of time. Hey, we made a bowl. Cool. And what does that matter to us?
And half of our players are going to sit out because they're declaring for the draft. Bowls, college football needs to get rid of bowls.
I don't. Yeah,
they're done.
Playoffs should expand. I want to see more teams in the playoffs. Like we said, we want a little variety.
Yeah.
Top 4, arguably going to be very similar over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Top 8,
different.
You see a little variety in there.
And they will be expanding next year, 2024, 12-team playoff.
Finally.
12 teams. Oh, man. Iowa, why did you have to get bad now? Because
they still weren't going to make that.
Last year we would have.
I mean, last year we would have. No, we didn't. No,
we fell at 13.
Yeah, not top 12.
Well, yeah, we probably still wouldn't make that. But still, we would be like, oh, are we going to get that 12 spot? Or we'd have a lot of content to talk about.
There would be a lot more talkings going on for Iowa. But questionably a bowl game, pretty solidly a bowl game. We'll see which one. We'll see who we're against, and
we'll move.
I guess we'll just wait. We'll wait until that happens.
The cool thing is we have basketball season.
We are officially going basketball season. Iowa basketball makes me a lot happier than Iowa football, to some degree at least. I did love their defense, but I also love our basketball team. So let's see. Let's get into it here. They were top 25 going into the Clemson game. They played at Clemson. They won that game 74-71. I was super happy with that. Came down really close. I was proud they were able to hold on to that lead and show that they can handle some adversity, that they can handle a challenge and still come out on top. They're not going to shy away from a little bit of a difficult situation.
Yeah.
Secondly, they were still top 25. 5-0, going against TCU, the basketball team. Sadly, they lost that one 79-66.
This game is super weird.
Where did this game come from?
Yeah.
Where this game was not on the schedule. It wasn't on Google. Avery sent me a screenshot like they're about to play. I'm like, they don't play today. Looked on Google, refreshed. Oh, they're playing now?
Yeah.
What is this?
Even looked on Iowa's website. And on their official schedule, and it wasn't listed. So I don't know where this game came from. I wish we wouldn't have played this game.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I don't think we were ready or prepared.
We just played Clemson the night before. Like, what was Clemson not just the night before?
Yeah, and it was at Clemson, and then we fly back to. It was at Carver, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was at Carver. So we fly back from Clemson all the way to Iowa City, and then we got to play the next day. What kind of crap is that?
Yeah, I don't know where this game came from. I don't know why it happened. I wouldn't necessarily be upset if we would have won, but obviously that wasn't the case, and thanks to it, now we've lost our top 25 spot. We're 5-1, and just, what the fuck? Like, where did this game come from? It just showed up out of the blue to knock Iowa down a peg? Is that what you're going to do?
It was really weird. At least we kind of recovered a little bit against Georgia Tech.
We did. We came out against Georgia Tech, won that one 81-65, so got another victory. Hopefully we'll be ranked again soon. I think the ranking is coming back. I think we're a top 25 team. We deserve to be there. Our next 2 games, we're going to play 6-2 Duke, who is ranked 17 right now. If we knock them off, obviously we're going to be top 20. And then right after that, we play Iowa State, another Cy-Hawk game. They're ranked 23. They're also 5-1. That one's going to be a good game as well.
So if you want my prediction, I think we lose to Duke. I think we lose Duke, but I think we pull off an upset against Iowa State.
I think we upset Iowa State. If we lose to Duke, I think it's close. I don't think it's a bad loss. I think it'll be a close loss. I think it'll be a real good game. I'm super excited to watch that game. I really want to see how we play, how it goes. I think even if we do lose, but we only lose by a couple, if we keep a real tight, close game, I think that shows enough to say, hey, these guys should get their spot back. I think they are still a very good team. You're going against number 17, and you're going to hold them to a point.
For sure. Yeah, I agree. Iowa's looking solid this year. I know Chris Murray is still performing out of his mind. And so, yeah, I mean, who's been the bright spot for you so far this year?
I love Chris Murray. As much as I love Keegan and everything, just him stepping away, it was an obvious fit to see Murray come in and just be like, heck yeah, Chris Murray, let's go. As I've also mentioned before, though, I do love Tony Perkins. I think Tony Perkins is awesome. I think he's a playmaker. I think he was undervalued a lot last year, and that's one of the reasons he works so hard and he's so passionate about the game. He is definitely one of the hardest workers on the court, I think. He is all over the place. He actively tries to make plays happen. He plays his absolute best every time.
And, you know, this transitions into my team, Omaha. Frankie Fiddler, he reminds me a lot of Tony Perkins. He just gives it his all every single game. And UNO went on a little bit of a win streak here. And it was very surprising. We went into this UL Monroe, Louisiana Monroe, and we went in 1-4. We pulled this off, and we won 63-53, and that brought us to 2-4. And then we ended up going on another win against Southern, where we actually demolished 83-53. And that was a Marquella Sutton. He had a really great game. And then after that, we ended up, our win streak kind of subsided because we had to play 25-ranked Mississippi State. And, you know, we actually kind of watched a little bit of this game in person and or on TV, I guess, but with each other. And Omaha was like 9 minutes in, up like 20-13, and I thought we had a really good shot. I mean, we did keep it okay, like close-ish, but it was 74-54. And so next up for us, we got a real tough task. We play North Texas, the 5-2 Mean Green, and I think we got a good shot at beating them. I think that will bring our record to a 4-4, an even slate, which I would really hope. And then we got a 2-hour rivalry in Drake, the Drake Bulldogs out of Des Moines, and they are 6-0.
They're looking good.
They're looking really good. They're not ranked yet, but they're 6-0. So I'm nervous about that. I think we'll get destroyed by Drake too. But
Omaha might have a couple of losses coming up, but hopefully they're close. Hey, the best you can hope for in games like this is just a close game and a respectable score by the end.
Yeah, and you know, no one's saying UNO is world beaters. The Mavericks, we're not known for basketball. If anybody asks, like, we are known for soccer. Like, we are one of the best, and hockey. Like, we are not a basketball school. So, at the end of the day, I'll take a nice little 4-4 record going in the Summit League play, because that's what we need.
Definitely. And speaking of games live or in person, Avery and I actually went down to Lincoln last night, and we watched the Nebraska and
Boston College
game. That was time.
Yeah, I enjoyed the game. Nebraska has some really weird rules to get into games.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to bring in a diaper bag. Avery's child had to pay for a ticket. His less than 1-year-old son,
7-month-old baby, had to have his own ticket. So that was very interesting for that aspect of things.
Cornhuskers? What the hell? Why? Just
a baby?
Really?
But at the end of the day, like, and I don't know if Max will admit this on the pod, but I will admit this on the pod. We kind of started cheering for Nebraska for one specific reason only. The ACC.
It's the ACC Big Ten Challenge. I always support Big Ten schools. I love seeing the Big Ten do good when they're playing non-Big Ten. I didn't start to cheer for Nebraska. I was kind of in it the whole time. I've always been that way. Sadly, the Big Ten did lose the ACC Big Ten Challenge 8-6. So I don't know who out there. We needed one more team just to at least make it tied. But I thought the Big Ten is still pretty good. We have a lot of ranked teams right now for basketball in the Big Ten, so I'm really excited to see that continue. Obviously, I want Iowa to win them all, but it's almost like the whole football SEC mentality is like, I don't care if it's my school, if it's a school in my conference, I want them to just dominate everybody else.
For sure, yeah. And so, like, that was it was a really good game, though.
It was a good game. It was fun being there.
Nebraska.
Any basketball game in person is just fun to be. Any game at all in person.
Mm-hmm.
I love watching sports live and in person. It's just such a fun thing to be a part of. The atmosphere.
We thought it was going to be a lot closer game, and Nebraska blew them out. So very surprising. Nebraska is not known as a basketball school, but yeah, it wasn't bad. Would definitely go back to another Nebraska Cornhusker game, especially if they would play Iowa.
I would definitely watch some more. They do play Iowa sometime in the next few weeks, I think. They had on their screen, they play Ohio State, Iowa, and somebody else. But, yeah, I would go back. I love basketball games in person. I love any games in person. I enjoy sports.
Yeah, and that's why we are a sports podcast. So,
but anyways, that'll wrap us up for today, guys. So we appreciate all of you. Please follow us on Instagram, like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us 5 stars on Spotify. If you're Spotify listeners, go to the YouTube and like it. If you're YouTube listeners, hop on the Spotify. Give it a rating. Please just get out there and try to get us those thumbs up.
Yeah, and I don't really have anything else to say. I just want to say 2 words. Beer down!